The Candace Owens versus Andrew Wilson debate completely took over the internet. It felt like everywhere you looked, people were arguing about it. My X feed was flooded, my YouTube feed was packed with clips, and the debate seemed impossible to escape. After it was all over, PBD, who moderated the debate, posted a poll asking viewers who they thought came out on top. And check out these numbers, more than 140,000 votes. According to that poll, the result wasn't even close. Candace Owens won by a massive margin. And it wasn't just PBD's poll getting that kind of reaction. Several online polls circulating after the debate appeared to lean heavily in Candace Owens' favor, with viewers saying she won the showdown. Now I'm going to show you how people reacted to some of the biggest moments from the debate. And this is where things get really interesting, because a few very surprising people actually sided with Candace Owens. And some even said they felt embarrassed by Andrew Wilson's performance. But first, I want to focus on something that became a major point of controversy. Questions surrounding Erika Kirk's earlier claims and TPUSA's alleged role in the wider pushback against Candace. Andrew opened the debate by dropping a major detail. He said TPUSA had shared a message with him that Charlie Kirk reportedly sent to Dan Flood, the head of Charlie's security, on September 9th. That detail matters because this specific message had already been discussed from the beginning. According to claims surrounding the case, Charlie sent a message to Dan Flood and Andrew Colvett on September 9th, one day before his death on September 10th. Candace said she later learned about the message through Colvett, and according to her account, Charlie's words were, "They are going to unalive me." That's why Andrew bringing up this message right out of the gate immediately caught people's attention. It wasn't some random side issue. It went straight into one of the biggest disputes surrounding what Charlie reportedly said and who knew about it. Since then, one question has been hanging over this whole story. Who exactly did Charlie mean? According to Candace's account, Andrew Colvett never clearly explained that part to her, so naturally, people expected Erika to provide some answers. But Erika initially said a message like that never existed, pointing out that she had Charlie's phone. Then came another twist. Candace said that when she later asked Erika about the messages during their meeting, Erika told her she had found the message after all, apparently in a different messaging app. According to Candace, Erika did not show her the screenshot first, and instead explained that Charlie supposedly meant the left, that the left was going to unalive him. For people who had been following every detail, that raised an obvious question about the apparent inconsistency. And then Andrew Wilson read the alleged message out loud during his opening statement in the debate. So how did he get access to something that had previously been disputed? Candace's supporters quickly questioned whether TPUSA had provided Andrew with information before the debate to catch her off guard. Some even interpreted the opening move as an attempt to rattle or intimidate her. But that remains speculation, not an established fact. Now, here's a compilation putting all of those moments back to back, so you can see exactly why this whole situation has people raising eyebrows. The clip was posted on X by Angela Thompson. I don't know who originally created the compilation or whether Angela made it herself, so I want to be clear about that. But her post is where I found the clip.
I hold in my possession never-before-seen messages from Charlie Kirk to his security team on September 9th, 2025. I'm going to share the message with you today, which is the first time this information's ever been publicly revealed. On September 9th, Charlie's security team wrote to him, "Yes, law enforcement has been fully supportive and agreed to a security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site." Charlie responded with this, "Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me. That was a message sent September 9th. Whatever could he have meant by that? Well, I think he meant exactly what he said, that he was worried the left was going to try to kill
And we knew that there was always going to be a threat, but Charlie and I we promised each other we would never live in fear. And he would say, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me. But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me. Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone. Didn't say that.
But they owned right away, which felt great, that if you guys recall, Erika sat down with Glenn Beck. I actually missed this portion because I didn't get to watch the interview in its entirety, and we were pulling clips because a lot was coming out very quickly. But there was a portion that was going around that was viral, and it was Erika saying that she had Charlie's phone and that Charlie never texted anybody the night before saying that he thought that they were going to kill him. And that obviously reflected poorly on me because I was the one who said that he did, in fact, text multiple people the night before. And then I went on Jimmy Dore on Friday, Jimmy Dore's show, and I clarified. I said, Andrew Colvett told me specifically that he was one of the people that received this text message. So I got that first person. I didn't get that from a source. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. And then somebody who had access to Dan Flood's communications said that Dan Flood similarly received a text message. They owned that right away and explained, Erika said that she has Charlie's phone. She's looking at his iMessages. And it turns out that he, like everybody else, communicates on Signal. He communicates on Telegram. And that those when she heard me say that, they then went and looked. And yes, that what I said was true. Andrew Colvett received a message the night before. And Dan Flood received a message the night before. Now, they asked me if I had actually like a concrete a copy of what Dan Flood got the night before. And I said, no. Somebody told me what it said, which was almost exactly what Andrew said, which is they're going to kill me. Andrew did not know who they were, that the they that he was referring to were. But they clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it said they.
So the argument here seems to be that they were trying to manufacture a gotcha moment against Candace, claiming she never specified what the message actually said or never mentioned this detail before. But she did. She discussed it back in December, which raises serious questions about how closely Andrew Wilson actually followed her coverage before stepping into this debate. And that became pretty obvious during the exchange. From the outside, it looked like Andrew may have been working mostly from viral clips and isolated moments involving the Egyptian planes, Fort Huachuca, and the receipt rather than going through the full body of material Candace had presented on her show. He also acknowledged receiving information from TPUSA before the debate, which only added another layer to the controversy. So critics came away wondering whether Andrew truly understood everything Candace had claimed, investigated, and presented over the previous year, or whether he walked into this showdown armed with selected clips, TPUSA's side of the story, and confidence that he had enough material to challenge her. Against someone who had spent months digging into the subject, that was always going to be a risky move. Not after a full year of new information coming out almost daily. Candace has built a reputation with her audience for correcting herself when she believes she got something wrong and for clarifying details as new information comes in. And according to Candace, she was told that Charlie's message to Dan Flood said the left was going to unalive him. But what exactly did Charlie write to Andrew Colvett? That part still appears to be unresolved. And given everything Candace says was happening around that time, you can understand why she has continued asking questions and exploring whether there could be another angle involving people or groups she has previously discussed. But suspicion is not proof. And that distinction matters. Now, I'm going to read some of the comments underneath this video because people immediately started connecting dots. One commenter argued that if the existence of that text had never been challenged publicly, Andrew might never have acknowledged it during the debate. Others brought up Joe Kent and his calls for further investigation, pointing to his publicly expressed concerns about whether there could have been foreign involvement. Again, those concerns don't establish that foreign involvement actually occurred, but they help explain why this debate has become so heated. Okay, here's another comment. She was definitely lying there, but then she found out Andrew Colvett had already told Candace he did, so she said she hadn't found them on his phone when she said that. No evidence that is what. That is what the text actually said. However, we need the texts. And on that last point, I agree. We need to see the actual texts. After all this time, why are people still debating secondhand descriptions when the messages themselves could potentially clear up what was said when it was sent and who received it? Another person commented, "Her tone is very spiteful as well, which makes her look like she was intentionally lying. Rather than her being left in the dark, not knowing the truth, she would have stated it softer." That's obviously one viewer's interpretation of her tone, not proof that she lied. But the bigger issue remains unanswered. Was this text actually sent on September 9th? Did it really mention the left? Or was that interpretation added later? Without seeing the original message and its context, we simply cannot know. And that's why people are questioning whether this debate was being used to reinforce one particular version of events. It reminds critics of the controversy surrounding the Charlie Kirk video from Aspen. Instead of simply releasing the complete, unedited footage immediately, what circulated publicly was presented in a way that critics described as heavily edited and built up like a major spectacle. That kind of rollout only creates more questions when people are already demanding the raw material. Allegedly heavily edited, I have to make that clear. But my opinion on how the whole thing was handled hasn't changed. Yesterday, we saw what critics are calling the second part of this circus. According to Candace's account, Erika never actually showed her the message, but later claimed that Charlie meant the left was going to unalive him. That was the explanation. He meant the left. Then comes the part that raised even more eyebrows. Andrew Wilson apparently gets access to this disputed message before the debate and reads it to Candace, but doesn't actually show it to her. And remember, during his opening statement, Andrew indicated that he had the message and would show it. Okay, great. If you have the message and you're bringing it into the debate as evidence, people naturally expect to see it. But when Candace directly asked to see the message, Andrew refused to show it to her. She also pressed him on another important question. How exactly did he get his hands on a private message like this in the first place?
You said you had some new evidence at the beginning of the.
Oh yeah, we should show that text
new
message that you read
Did you
just
wanna
because
share
I
that?
think that's important for the public. You shared it out of context.
I'll do it on my show. I'll share the text
So you're going to
message.
read it on my show but not show it?
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll show it on my show, but that's what I'll do. I'll show it on my
Can
show.
I ask why?
Well, because I want to drip out the evidence, you know. That's got to drip out that evidence, keep people coming back for the show, right?
I don't know if snark serves you so well.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I'll release it there. Yeah, that's my intention.
He came across as smug to me, and the whole exchange was seriously cringe. Remember, in his opening statement, Andrew said he was going to show the message. But when the moment came, he apparently changed his mind. And judging by what he posted afterward, he seemed to think he had absolutely cooked Candace. To him, this looked like his big mic drop moment. Andrew tweeted this exchange. "Can you show us the text message? I'll release it on my show." But you came claiming you had evident lights go out of the eyes, me smiling. He clearly appeared proud of that moment, but plenty of viewers didn't see it as the devastating gotcha he seemed to think it was. And the comments were brutal. One person wrote, "So you admit Erika Kirk is a liar, and this is the perfect example of why she needs to be brought in for questioning. This is why people don't believe or trust her. Who's lying here, you or her? This makes her complicit." That is the commenter's accusation, of course, not an established fact. Another one said, "Keep trying to pat yourself on the back. You lost, dude. Total narcissist. Telling Candace she's making things up. You're just a total ishty show." And another added, "You might want to go back and re-watch your own debate today. You got community noted on your own quote." But there was actually more to this exchange about the text message. Candace didn't just ask Andrew to show it. She also wanted to know exactly how he got access to it in the first place.
Do you still think she's too retarded?
No. I didn't know Erika Kirk. I'd never met her before.
Okay, but you had an issue with Turning Point being led by a bunch of fembots talking about the feminist angle.
Still do.
And then suddenly you go to the headquarters.
Still think it's a terrible idea.
You go into the headquarters. Now all of a sudden you've got text messages that you're sharing with them. You say that you and your wife are getting involved with management.
No. I'm not involved in any management at Turning Point USA.
Well, I'm pretty sure there is a clip of you where you say that your wife went to their recent conference and sat down. And then when you were on Joe Rogan.
No. Hang on. I'll explain what happened just so that you understand.
Yeah.
So I was invited there to do some debate training. That's literally what I was invited there to do on recommendation. So I went down and did some debate. That's the first time I ever met anybody at TPUSA.
Okay. And then you said you sat down with Erika.
Well, I didn't sit down to her. I talked to her in a hallway.
So you didn't sit down and speak with Erika?
No, I didn't have like some sit down long conversation. We talked in a hallway.
Okay. Is that when you gave her the hug?
Yeah, gave her the hug right there. My wife did too. We were both very sorry for what happened.
Okay, so at what point did you start receiving text messages from that you cited in your opening statement?
I just reached out to TPUSA and said, "I'm prepping for a debate. Is there anything that's pertinent that I can use here?"
Do you find it interesting that people have been asking for, basic answers to questions, and you're saying that you walked into their headquarters and reached out and they instantly...
It's amazing, isn't it? If you reach out in good faith and you're not demonizing them and saying that they're complicit in the people's deaths, that perhaps they're actually willing to release things to you that are pertinent, other than thinking that, perhaps you're diabolical.
Well, I don't know. I feel like
intentions.
If I was going to release that information, I didn't demand that it be released to me. I actually never demanded that it be released. I just simply said that this is what was going on in the last 48 hours. Maybe to the media they could release it. They could release it to PBD. They decided to release it to a guy that called Erika too retarded in June.
So what?
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows that Turning Point is sending you as their horse.
Well, I don't know where
they don't have the courage to have the conversation. If they were just releasing something in good faith to answer questions.
Do you have any
I've never
evidence
demanded
of that claim?
It's not evidence that
No.
you're sharing your opinion
No.
that she's too retarded. I can't share my opinion that I think it's going to register as really obvious to the public, that rather than presenting that throughout the course of everybody wanting to know what Charlie was going through his last days, they decided to give it to you to come to my house as some sort of a surprise. Do you think the public's not smart enough to see through that?
Do you think that if you
talking
know
about terrible PR,
if you know that there's a huge debate that's coming up that's going to be probably one of the most viewed that year, and one of the debaters calls you and says, "I'm taking this position. This is the position that I feel like there's the most evidence for," and Candace also agreed to answer many of my questions in regards to this. So if you got pertinent evidence here that I can use, I'd definitely like take a look. It was actually amazing to me. It really was actually amazing to me how if you approach people in good faith and just say, "Hey, I'd actually like to know what the facts and details are around this," they actually do talk to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just do not believe that you that they are doing this in good faith. I don't believe that anything you have done has demonstrated that's in good faith. It demonstrates that you walked into Turning Point USA headquarters and came out a different man because you were critical of the organization. You
Still am.
were critical of Erika, and now you're sitting here going,
Well,
Candace,
first
I
of
want to
all,
interrogate you for
have
an
you ever
hour and a half
been-
about everything
hang on,
you've
hang
ever
on.
said.
Have
So TPUSA shared the texts with him in good faith. Because according to Andrew, he had good intentions and wasn't accusing the organization of anything. But that explanation immediately raised eyebrows. Not long before this, Andrew had publicly insulted Erika in extremely harsh and derogatory terms. So naturally, people are asking how this relationship suddenly became trusting enough for private messages to be shared with him. And something else crossed my mind yesterday. If Andrew had this kind of access to TPUSA before the debate, how much information could he actually request? Was he basically heading into the debate saying, "This is my position. Can you give me anything that can help me out here, that can help me get the gotcha moment on Candace and prove to her that my side is right?" We don't know if that conversation happened. So that's a question, not a claim. But seriously, was this one message all they gave him? This debate was a huge opportunity to challenge Candace's claims with direct evidence. If TPUSA had more material that could settle these disputes, you'd think this would have been the perfect time to bring it forward. Maybe there's a reason they didn't? I don't know. Then Aubrey Legs jumped into the conversation. You may remember her as the former TPUSA staffer who has publicly questioned Erika and TPUSA's actions following Charlie's death. She posted a video on X responding directly to what Andrew
I
said.
haven't had the opportunity to finish the Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson debate in its entirety yet, but I'm a little more than halfway through, and I just have to get something off my chest. It's bothering me so much right now about something that Andrew said, which is Andrew mentioned that he reached out to Turning Point in good faith and received an answer regarding Charlie's text messages back and forth with the security team. And he was saying, oh, it's just such a shocker how when you reach out in good faith, like they might actually respond. Well, as the sole individual who was handling the press@tpusa.com email inbox for months on end prior to Charlie's assassination and after, there were a few other people who handled it too, but I had access to the entire thing after Charlie's assassination. There were so many people who reached out in good faith, both reporters, reputable reporters, and just normie individuals just from around the world who reached out in very good faith with just these kind of similar and questions. And we were told explicitly, like, you don't respond to these people. Like, we didn't respond to any of them. And then, so that's number one. Number two is that when I was fired, I actually mentioned to Turning Point leadership, both to Andrew Colvett and Marina Minas, that there were staff who were concerned about 910, who had questions and who certainly were asking these things in good faith. I mean, these people had uplifted their lives, moved across the country, put off school, done all kinds of things to work for Turning Point. Those people were always acting in good faith, and they had questions too. And it was an environment that was not safe to be asking those questions. And certainly I'm a product of that.
So maybe reaching out in good faith isn't enough, and TPUSA simply didn't want to share more information. But then the obvious question is, why? Why didn't Brian Harpole mention these alleged text messages during his interviews? He sat down with Sean Ryan and Gary from Paramount Tactical. Yet, as far as this discussion goes, he never brought up the alleged message Charlie sent to Dan Flood. And remember, Harpole discussed other communications involving Flood and security arrangements around the roof. So why leave out what would seem like a major detail? That Charlie allegedly feared the left was going to unalive him the day before his death and supposedly communicated that concern to Flood. If authentic and accurately described, that message would seem pretty significant. Its absence from those conversations is exactly why people are asking questions. And why wasn't this alleged message raised in the lawsuit involving Candace Owens? Again, these are questions, not proof of wrongdoing. But from my perspective, this message seemed to suddenly enter the spotlight in a similar way to the disputed Aspen video. Everything surrounding the rollout feels off to me. It can give the impression that a narrative is being carefully constructed after the fact, but without the original messages and full context, that remains an interpretation, not something we can state as fact. That's what it feels like to me. I'm not presenting it as a fact, but the whole thing looks weird. Someone commented under Andrew's post, "You had me as a fan, but this possibly ended that, and I believe I speak for many. Admit you got Walloop today had an agenda not in alignment with purely discerning the truth, and will return to a genuine, truth-seeking mission, or risk the same fate you so gruesomely bestowed upon many prior adversaries, the annals of insignificance." The choice is yours, Andrew. What a way to put it! And reading reactions like that, it seems Andrew disappointed at least some of the people who had been rooting for him. To those viewers, he didn't come across as somebody who had spent enough time digging into every layer of the Charlie Kirk investigation. Instead, they questioned whether he was really there to examine the evidence, or whether he walked in with a position he already wanted to defend. Then there's another detail that makes the optics even messier. Andrew was recently hired by TPUSA to teach debating skills. After this performance, some critics are probably wondering whether they kept the receipt. And now, after previously making extremely harsh comments about Erika Kirk, he suddenly appears to be aggressively defending her. To me, that shift doesn't feel convincing. And that brings us to one particular question Andrew asked Candace. I can't prove anyone sent him there to ask it, but I believe this question reveals what he was trying to accomplish. And Candace didn't take the bait. At this point, walking into a debate with Candace Owens and not knowing the legal distinction between murder and aggravated murder is just, I cannot. Watching that exchange gave me secondhand embarrassment. I almost felt sorry for Andrew because, in my view, this could go down as one of the most painfully awkward debate moments people remember for a long time. And then there's the money angle. There was reportedly $300,000 connected to this debate, which makes the optics even crazier. After all that buildup, Andrew ended up in an exchange that his critics immediately turned into a humiliation clip. That's especially ironic given the extremely derogatory comments he has previously made about women. But I'm going to play the moment with Destiny reacting to it, because that makes this even more interesting. Destiny has been a fierce critic of Candace. He has debated her himself, has expressed a very negative opinion of her, and historically they have been miles apart politically. So this isn't somebody you'd normally expect to jump in and make Candace look good. Yet when Destiny watched this particular exchange, his reaction said a lot, and I found the whole thing hilarious.
One thing, though, that I want to just directly ask you is, do you actually believe that anybody in TPUSA or Erika Kirk or Erika actually participated, had foreknowledge of, or facilitated the Charlie Kirk?
I'm not going to get myself into a legal pickle here. Everything I've said is on my podcast. I think firmly that if I was the investigating officers, I would seat them all and I would ask questions. I would at this phase.
The thing about Andrew Wilson is that, in my view, he basically lost the debate during his own opening statement. His job was to defend the position that the evidence was overwhelming. But almost immediately, he seemed to soften what overwhelming actually meant, framing it more like evidence that was personally convincing to him.
I also would just, if I may ask a question, is that permitted?
Go ahead.
Just so I also have clarity, since your basis has been evidentiary, you keep saying that you have evidence or like you are following evidence. Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Thompson is guilty of?
The specific charge?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I think is that Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges that he's being charged.
Yeah, can we list them real quick? I'll tell you exactly which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges that he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course. But
Can
I
you-
want to
can you
make sure
name
that we
one?
have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not following
Is that
the
it?
case.
That's the
Yeah.
question. You're
Yeah,
just
but-
not
but, I mean,
following
it seems,
enough.
It seems pretty like if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Robinson is guilty. I just think that you should. Like,
All right.
Can you tell me one?
Then let's do the
charge
counter.
That he's,
You can really, hang on. This is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play
Yeah.
clips out of context,
Yeah,
put
yeah.
me in the hot seat. So please just answer the
This
question.
is fair.
Can
Name
you
all
name,
7 since you've been following the case.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
You name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even. This is like.
Name all 7.
And I.
Can
I
you
think
name all 7?
I can.
Then do it.
Sure, you don't have to
Do
put
it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
You don't have
Name
to
'em.
put your fingers up. I can
Okay,
do
hang on.
that.
Name them.
Yeah, sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries
Okay.
a death sentence
So
in the
murder.
state of Utah. No,
Next.
that's not. That is literally not murder.
Okay.
And
Next.
so just for people, no, don't. I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just to explain to people the difference of why that really matters and shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder. It's narrowly defined,
Just
and
avoiding
because
the
it carries
question.
a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay,
You're
I'm
just going to
waiting.
recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work, and you'll be better the next time you debate
I got
someone.
it. I got it. Give me the other ones.
The more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that
No,
people
I just
don't walk
want
away?
you to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. You just don't get to pretend that there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
Because I'm speaking. You just got to.
It sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know them.
I know all 7 of them,
Then
and I'm
tell
going to
me
say
them.
again because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this. I'm also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I actually
well,
am
I
under
got
no
one.
time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And the
What's
final
the specific charges, though?
that is them. Obstruction of justice,
Both of
obstruction
those-
of justice, witness tampering.
Okay, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged
no,
with
no.
it.
Just the charges and then 7?
Yeah, see, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with murder. You just say aggravated murder. That's the distinction. You just want to.
It's a massive. It's
Got
like
it.
you cannot
Massive.
say versus aggravated
Massive
murder.
distinction.
This gets to the entire crux of why him being up for the death sentence, and I actually find the defense's filing about why this is not aggravated to be.
Basically, if it convinced him, then he considered it overwhelming. But then came the problem. Andrew said he believed Tyler was responsible while putting his own confidence somewhere around 70% to 85%. That immediately creates tension with the word overwhelming. If you're leaving that much room for doubt yourself, critics are obviously going to ask how you can simultaneously describe the evidence in such strong terms, especially in a case involving the possibility of the death penalty. I'm going to do a deeper breakdown of the other arguments from this debate because there's a lot more to unpack. But overall, it was a rough performance for Andrew Wilson, and the master debater reputation definitely took some hits afterward. Barron jumped on this exact point, by the way. He tweeted, "Smokeboy said he believes there is 75 to 85% chance Tyler Robinson unalived Charlie Kirk." Barron continued, "Class, that's the definition of reasonable doubt. The debate ended before it began. 75 to 85% is by definition not overwhelming." Exactly. Whether you agree with that legal characterization or not, you can see why Andrew's own percentage immediately became one of the biggest talking points after the debate. Barron was on fire on X yesterday. Here's another one. Just when you think all TPUSA strategy couldn't get any worse, we see the quality of debate coach they hired. He admitted the evidence against Tyler Robinson is not overwhelming and didn't know a single charge pending against Robinson.
Do you know any of the charges he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course. But I
Can you-
want to
can you
make sure
name
that we
one?
have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not
Is
following
that
the
it?
case.
That's
I mean, like, that's a fair thing to say.
the question. You're just not
but I mean,
following it enough.
It seems pretty like if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty. I just think that you should. Like,
All right.
Can you tell me one
Then let's do the
charge that
counter.
he's?
You can really, yeah, this is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play
Yeah.
clips out of context,
Yeah,
put me
yeah.
in the hot seat. So please just answer the
This
question.
is fair.
Can
Name
you
all
name,
7 since you've been following the case.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
You name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
It would be more qualified, probably, right? And I don't know if even for this particular one would, yeah.
Doesn't even. This is like.
Name all 7.
And I.
Can
I
you
think
name all 7?
I can.
Then do it.
Sure. You don't have to.
Do
put
it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
You don't
Name
have to put
'em.
your fingers up.
Okay,
I can
hang on.
do
Name
that.
them.
Yeah, sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries
Okay,
a death
so
sentence. in the
murder.
state of no,
Next.
that's
It's going to
not.
be a qualifier, yeah.
That is literally not murder.
Okay,
And
next.
so just for people, no, don't. I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just to explain to people the difference of why that really matters.
Like, if she can even get like 5 of them, it looks so bad. Why would he feel confident? She asked the question. Why would he think that she would ask a question like that she wouldn't be able to answer? Because that's the thing that Andrew would do. Maybe she can't, though, because she is acting a little bit, it seems like she's not trying to answer the question. But if she can name even 5 of them, oh no.
And shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder, it's narrowly defined
Just
and
waiting
because it
the
carries
question.
a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay,
You're
I'm
just going to
waiting.
recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work, and you'll be better the next time you debate
I got
someone.
it. I got it. Give me the other ones.
The more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that
No, I
people
just
don't walk
want you
away?
to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. You just don't get to pretend there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
Because I'm speaking. You just got
It
to.
sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know them.
I know all 7 of them,
Then
and I'm going to
tell
say
me them.
again because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this. I'm also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I actually
well,
am
I
under
got
no
one.
time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering, and the
What's
final
the specific charges, though?
that is them obstruction.
That's the that's going to be the charge. USC, whatever bullshit. Or it might be written in, it's not going to be, it won't be citing federal statutes, probably. It's going to be citing Utah statutes or whatever, but that would probably be the...
justice,
both of
obstruction
those-
of justice, witness tampering.
Okay, wait, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged
no,
with
no,
it.
just
Oh no!
the charges, and then 7?
Yeah, see, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Oh no, Andrew! Time to leave. This is where you start coughing and you say, I have stage 4 lung cancer. Sorry, guys. I'm gone from the internet. Oh, no. Oh, man.
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with...
This might be the most expensive mommy-dommy pay-for-play in the history of all the internet. I will pay you $300,000 to dom me live in front of 1 million people. You've got everything you could ever want. She's smarter, the race play angle, he's married, so the Rachel cuck queening, like this is just, it is unbelievable to me that he would have done this debate for such a high amount of money. This might be one of the most expensive debates on the planet, technically, historically speaking. How often do people even get paid to do debates, right? Even that root claim one we watched was for $100K, which might have been the most expensive debate on the planet at that time. This might be the most expensive debate. And it's just like, what are we doing here?
Good hire. TPUSA. Good hire. That one was savage. There is still so much more to unpack from this debate. I want to go deeper into the arguments Andrew and Candace made, separate the strong points from the weak ones, and connect them with all the reactions and information that started flying around online afterward. There are plenty of details we haven't even touched yet. But for now, I seriously need some sleep. We streamed for more than 6 hours yesterday, and because of the time difference, it was already extremely late for me by the time everything wrapped up. So that's it for today, but I'll be back tomorrow fresh and ready with a deeper analysis of everything that went down. There are still plenty of moments, claims, and reactions we need to break apart because this debate gave us a lot to talk about. And as always, I want to hear what you think. Based on everything you've seen, do you believe Erika was truthful about the text message? Do you think Andrew Wilson accurately represented what the message said and how he got it? And the biggest question of all, who do you think actually won this debate? Drop your take in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and share it with someone who's been following this story. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode.